when I get pummeled by the energy, I can actually get visuals on what's happening. If you get a mass or a body and it has its own energy, it comes with an aura, like we do. That aura has its own field that it travels with. So it will hit you before the massive body enters. So you will be hit by its aura. That's the best way I can put it. So its aura are the first initial waves that we've been experiencing since 2009. Now what it is, it's because, quote, the bodies have entered. It's not just the aura we're feeling, okay, because that was like one wave after another, and each wave begins to be stronger and stronger and stronger, and it builds into kind of like a Tesla effect. But then it gets closer and closer, so you can actually feel the mass. Suddenly, in the same space, you have all these other masses in there, and it's destabilizing the old current mass. What happens when you feel that, everything has to like pretty much wobble all over the place and adjust itself to like accommodate these new masses that are now in the space. And that's the best way I can describe what is happening and how I'm feeling it. And now that comes along with different effects in the body. So the waves, or the astral energy of these bodies, are one thing, and they come with certain symptoms that help you increase your acceleration and your changes. But then totally changes because when the masses are in here and now everybody is accommodating new masses in the space, then it becomes about a completely different dynamic, which means that the energies have now super densified, intensified, but they are going to remain that way until we can accommodate. And once we accommodate those changes with our changes, we won't notice it as much. But until then, we're going to be going through an undoing. We're being undone. And then we're having to rebuild ourselves. Some of us can really feel it badly, and it makes it difficult to function. It used to be everybody goes to work and everybody goes and does whatever they need to do, and somehow, you know, the energy would still balance itself out enough to function. But now all of these new masses and how we are having to accommodate these changes within ourselves, that means that we're changing the relationship to our own perception of everything, because with these masses it comes new consciousness. So it opens up brand new verses in ourselves. It's not just the change that we're going through physically, but we're actually changing consciously, and we're changing in terms of being able to see things that we weren't able to before. Yes. So we're going through like an immense amount of changes, but it's also a type of personal alchemy, transmutation, and a personal alchemical initiation that we're going through. And in essence, we're returning, and this is like a lot of it, people are also experiencing that they can feel more of their own fire being ignited inside. People are starting to feel like inside you is like an internal furnace. So the heat isn't like, oh, I'm hot from the sun, or oh, I'm hot because the heat is on. It isn't that kind of heat. You can have this kind of heat and it's freezing, and you can be standing out in the middle of the snow and you'll melt everything around you. It's just your own personal acceleration within your own sun is being ignited and radiating. Yeah. And so people are going to be talking about that too, because that's happening, and that's a whole different aspect of it, but that's actually a good thing. That's a very good thing, and it's a good sign. It's just also going through those changes means that the flesh that you knew is dying. So the state of the flesh that you knew is no longer. So that's what's happening. These masses are already here. Now that they're here, they're going to start emitting all of their other manifesting states into all the bodies that exist within this verse. So, and that's going to be a whole different thing, because now, you know, you're talking about, wow, you're talking about a whole different way to experience life. Going through the fire, it's actually really, it's really interesting, because the best way I can describe the fire is it's a cold fire. It's a freezing fire. So it's a freezing and a burning all at the same time. So you're having the two extremes in one. And then when you're in that, that's why you can be in freezing temperatures and be like your own sun. You don't feel the cold. That's the micro to the macro, because on the macro level, you're doing the same thing. And then the effect of the polar opposite, what you're talking about, where you have the, you have the other camp on the other side who may not be quite there in their experience. They're going to be somewhere else where they're just still resisting, yeah, and they're still pushing through like molasses, like everything is going against them. It's working against them. The energy is too difficult to overcome. Do you know, it's like that Greek god who has to push the boulder up the hill all the time, and every single day he gets it up to the very top of the mountain, it goes right back down. So he has to start from the beginning. So on the polar opposite, there's going to be that energetic, and they're going to be experiencing more of the cold, an extreme cold or hot. They're not going to be able to merge the two. So, but on the flip side of it, those of us who are already experiencing that acceleration, or that excelsius state of being, we have both at the same time. So the fire is made out of kind of almost like the coldest of the cold, which turns into fire, which is the fire of source.
I've never heard it quite put like that before.
Yeah.
I mean, is that based on something you've actually
felt
you can feel and perceive?
Yes.
And, okay, you've experienced that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've never read any of these things. No, I don't even read stuff for the most part. Sci-fi fantasy books when I was young, but like, no, that's just what I feel and how I perceive it, and what I see visually, and the experiences that I have when I go in there.
Yeah. Well, you were saying to me earlier about how you can feel the actual turbulence that's happening cosmically right now.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something
totally.
you want to speak about?
I can completely feel it. I can completely feel. I wish the language was better, but okay. So when there's celestial battles going on, and lately there have been many, and they're off and on, and then there's like sleep periods or periods where they're like resting. Those are actually the only periods that I look forward to, because that's the only time that I can actually calm down, or like that my body can calm down and I can get a little bit of reprieve. But when they start activating again, I can actually feel the energetic conflict, and I can actually feel like, I guess you could call it like heavenly wars between these bodies that are literally fighting each other. It's like they're fighting each other for space, and then as soon as one comes in a little bit too much, and the other one counters it with its own muscle and pushes it back, and then I can actually feel these things. And then I can feel sun, and then I can feel the earth, and I can feel how, like, inside both their cores, how they're reacting to all of these solar things that are happening. When I feel this, I can feel if the core is reversing in the wrong way. So like the moment it reversed in the opposite direction, I could feel it in the moment. And I started calling the university and asking the science department when I could feel this, because I wanted to get verification, because it was like so clear to me. And I did get confirmation that these things were happening, but it's not anything that they want to publish or let people know, because they couldn't quite understand. And I was like saying, basically, there's a relationship between what's happening with the earth and all the planets, not just the earth. So like the earth is one planet of them all that represents the same changes that are happening to everything else. And so, but there are certain things that are unique here, which means that they're going to have a different way of surfacing themselves. At the crucible of these planetary energetics, when they get too close to each other before one bounces off the other, like sends kind of like a blow, like one will send a blow that's stronger to be able to like get away from its magnetism. So then
so what do you mean by blow?
It's like a blow. It's like an energetic body. For example, if you come too close to me and you want to hit me, I will like hit you back, and I will create chi so that you go backwards.
Okay.
So I get you to go backwards from me, so you no longer come too close to me.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what the bodies are doing to each other. Okay. And they're like doing this because they want to have dominance over space.
Okay. So obviously you're just confirming what we had spoken about previously regarding these celestial bodies having their own consciousness as well as us on the micro levels.
Right. Because I can feel it. So when this happens, all of the mechanics that are happening celestially, because there's a lot, it's not just one, because there's new particles that are coming in because of all these bodies. And the sun changed and altered itself. Well, we know it's dying, the sun is dying, which is something I was shown when I was really young. The sun, even though it's dying, it's also accelerating. And as it's accelerating, it's also been changed by these bodies, because the masses that have come in with different particles, different physics. Mm-hmm. So the sun has changed as a result. And now it is reacting with a new particle inside it. So it gave birth to a new particle. While it's dying, this new particle is acting inside it. As this is happening, that same particle is the same particle that is now inside us. And it's causing all manner of anomalous reactions, like what's happening inside us. But it's also happening inside the core of the Earth, because now the core of the Earth has this new particle as well. So it's responding in tandem, like a twin to the sun, to the real sun, not the simulator, with the changes. And we are also going through that same thing internally as well. Apart from all of these unstable things that are happening throughout the world, these instabilities are also happening cosmically everywhere right now. So there's the real Earth, and then this is the projection. And then there's the second Earth that I speak of, that I was shown was already there, and that it's already being populated. It's already been like...
Okay, but where does Sirius come into this? Because we had spoken that Sirius, this is the projection of Sirius, that this is the inversion copy of Sirius. So how does that tie in with these other earthen bodies? Well, are you just saying that there's basically multiple copies, and some of those copies are more closer to source than others?
They are aspects of the original. So this is an aspect of the original. It's not just one body. That's why we have a solar system with other bodies in it. That's why we have other bodies, because they're all aspects. So,
do you know why it needed to be that way, that there would be several Earths and being on those different layers and levels? Well, was it part of the hijacking, or is it a natural phenomena?
Well, a part of it is a natural phenomenon that's been hijacked. It's a natural phenomenon because the moment that we were split into these two aspects, largely, that created infinity systems. Okay, that in itself, you have infinity systems on two aspects. You have the uninverted and the inverted. Yeah. You have infinity systems that are being literally created on both sides of the coin.
It's an expanding universe.
This copy was hijacked, which created like a complete instability to the uninverted one aspect. And this is the problem, because that is what caused the imbalance, is like the hijacking that took over created complete, utter mirror system realities, infinity system realities that weren't even natural to the original inversion.
How?
Because once it was hijacked, they started creating other systems to be put in place to hijack whatever the original system was in place at the beginning, so that other things could live off of it.
So how did they create that system? That's basically...
that's where you get all forms of different kinds of technologies, spirit technologies, consciousness technologies, AI technologies, quantum everything, quantum soul, technologies, and all manner of things. It just took it to a whole different level than the original experiencing of yourself in two halves. So it just became something entirely different. Earth is one aspect, one archetype, and it's only a piece of one archetype. It's not even the whole piece. It's one piece of a body. It's one piece of a large body, and then pieces of many other bodies that came after. But originally it was one female body that was, you could say, like the Titan of Titans, and then that was split and the other ones fell, and it created this mass that we call Earth. Terra. I call her Terra. And this is how many of these bodies have been created.
Well, that's the thing, because you could say that Sirius as mother birthed Jupiter.
Yeah. Yeah, because Jupiter is her child.
Then Earth is a fragment of Jupiter's body, but still it stemmed from mother. That's why it is still in the mother's image. Hence why it's called Mother Earth.
Well, you know, all creation is originally female upon inception. It only changes sex after it's female. Yeah. So everything in creation is female.
Well, and it's true. And when you look at this whole patriarchal hierarchical setup, you can see why they did suppress that aspect of the female power. And then it's all been put out of balance anyway, because then even the feminist movements get distorted.
Yeah, totally.
So it all becomes a big confusing mess at the end of it, where both the patriarchal, matriarchal gets subverted.
Absolutely. They've gotten everybody to the point where they don't even feel what's instinct in them anyway. So the original template is something that isn't even ascertained anymore. The current concept of how one perceives what masculinity is or femininity or any of these things is perverse. It's all imbalanced.
Well, people detached and then so programmed by the system, and what the system dictates our roles are and should be, and have always been in terms of tradition, where the tradition has come under a hijacking. In effect, in anything that's going to stop you from finding that healthy alignment and balance in knowing and reclaiming your true identity as a being, which does inhabit both the masculine and the feminine in their proper place and power.
Do you know what one of the secrets is about this? Do you know why ultimately that they've done it this way, so that nobody ever gets there and everybody's confused and they have the wrong history and they have the wrong and Cronus stepped in and made sure that he created time so that everybody could be trapped and everybody's living a Groundhog Day and nobody ever gets the truth of anything, and they'll get like partial truths in a soup of lies. They've gone so out of their way to literally create an entire reality. Like, that's incredible if you think about however many billions people are, you know, in that reality, that they're all experiencing it in that hijacked stream of consciousness, because they're terrified, because they know, literally they know, if one person gets it, if one cell within the body of one person gets it, then everything changes. Then they have the power to change the universe. They have the power to change the verse. And they know that. And this entire dream and everything. It really is. Wait, you know, even Isa said, greater than these things will you do in that day? Greater than these things. He was referring to, like, if you just tell that mountain to move, the mountain will move. Like, just move. So if he's saying, like, greater than these things will ye do in that day. In that day. So they know the power of someone who's truly, and this is the reason why, if you look at all of the literature and the writing attributed to, quote, the royals and those that are the elites, the fallen angels, I guess you could say, you'll see that a lot of their writing is all with the word sovereign. They have only relegated that word to themselves. Like the Masons, the royals, the elite.
Yes. Yeah, the authority.
The Order of the Garter, it's all sovereign. They don't attribute that name to anything or anybody else. It's like within their own, quote, legal system. in their like sea of legalities. Literally all you need is one cell. If one cell of your body gets this, all cells change in that moment of recognition, in that moment. That's the real birth. That's what they're absolutely terrified of. This is the reason why they also.
But why are they terrified? I mean, if they and I'll play devil's advocate here.
Mm-hmm.
If they're saying they're here as stewards of the game and they're just performing a role to keep the duality system and with the law of confusion in there, and yet they know the truth, they hold the keys, but yet they set the system up in a way that in order to have the alchemical process in place, because if there was no duality, then it wouldn't be the same form of alchemy, because you wouldn't have opposing elements.
No, it wouldn't be the same at all. We wouldn't even be here if it wasn't this duality.
So maybe on this level, it does need to be that way in order for that particular alchemy to take place. On other levels, it doesn't apply, but on this level, on this level of consciousness, in this stream of consciousness, because I don't feel that it is an accident, all the souls who are here on this level, within this stream of consciousness, within this pond.
It's not an accident at all.
A fundamental element of human nature is the need for creative work, for free creation without the arbitrary limiting effects of coercive institutions. That a decent society should maximize the possibilities for this fundamental human characteristic to be realized.